Hello and welcome back to Hill House Vintage. Now I've had a lovely trip this week. I visited Holkham Hall, a wonderful example of 18th century Neo-Palladian architecture on the North Norfolk coast. So it's not too far from me. And it's set in beautiful parkland, as many of these houses are. But the reason I really went is because of the walled garden. The walled garden has flowers and vegetables and is a very beautiful example of an English country garden. Not a huge amount was in season at the moment, and we've just missed the flourish of tulips, and it's just before the vegetables really start to grow. But it really is a lovely example of a fantastic structure of a kitchen garden, and it's a kitchen garden for a large house, so it would have fed the servants at the time, and all of the staff, and of course all of the household and all of their entertaining. It's very interesting to see how these old gardens are interpreted and used in modern life. So that's a trip to Holkham you'll see. And really the reason I visit a lot of these places is for inspiration for my interiors, but also inspiration for my little, far smaller scale kitchen garden. And I'm obsessed with my garden and my flowers and my vegetable growing, as you know, and that feeds itself also with things like this. So this is a beautiful vintage oil painting that I bought recently. This was when I went to the Cotswolds. Now I love to fill my house with vintage art, usually with a floral theme. All a little bit shabby, all a little bit shabby chic, but I just love that lived in feeling. One of my favourites is this beautiful floral painting of tulips in a lovely vase. It's got the most ornate frame, and I found it in a thrift shop a few years ago. And keeping on that floral theme, I've got two books. In actual fact, a book that is more about the fact that I've been planting lots of herbs this year. And this is called Herb, A Cook's Companion, and it features lots of wonderful recipes on what to do with your herbs. So there's lots of traditional recipes, but also lots of new and exciting things that I can do with everything that I've planted. And that's a really lovely thing to have to accompany that. And I will put a link for this book in the description below. And then another floral one, Dior in Bloom. Now this is filled with the most luscious and gorgeous floral photography. Of course, Dior, as a couture brand, has a history of using sort of floral imagery in its designs. Look at those petals, how gorgeous is that? And Mr. Dior had the most fantastic garden as well. There's a picture of Mr. Dior in his garden. So it's a beautiful book full of such wonderful inspiration for home and garden and of course clothing. And I just thought that was really beautiful. I do love a coffee table book. Of course I read them all. They're not just for sort of like keeping for decoration, but they really are interesting as well. They tell stories of people's lives. It's wonderful to hear about the designs and the actual, what sort of like influenced the design of Mr. Dior's couture. So that's a really lovely book. And then somebody who I absolutely love and who's contemporary and around right now is Carolyn Ruhan. Now Carolyn used to be a wonderful and amazingly successful designer in the 1980s. She still does design, but she also is a wonderful entertainer. And when I say entertainer, I mean in the sense of tablescaping, and she's got the most beautiful home, her interiors, her way of cooking, and the way that she lives is just so aspirational and gorgeous and beautiful, and everything that I love in a lovely coffee table book, because it's full of things that just not only inspire, but you can also get little ideas for your own way of living. And I love that. Those are the best books, when you can take something away and you can integrate it into your own life as well. So I will link that one below too. So there you go, that's my little collection for this week. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed the images of Holkham Hall and my garden. One of the biggest things that I always take back when I visit country house gardens is the sense of structure and age. So I do like to fill my garden with vintage items such as vintage watering cans, lovely cold frames that look as if they could have come from the Victorian era. I always think that I'd like my garden to look as if Peter Rabbit could be running through it. Here I've created a bamboo stick pyramid so that my sweet peas can grow up. I had a lovely crop of sweet peas last year and I'm looking forward to them again this year. I really like the companion planting at Holcombe Hall, and so here in this bed I've planted vegetables along with my herbs. I love the sense of symmetry and structure that grand houses like Holcombe Hall have, and I've tried to copy that in my own garden with the symmetry of the raised beds. Well, I do hope that you enjoyed my little trip to Holcombe Hall and a view of my garden, and I will see you next time.